Connections are more than just bonds. They also lead us to open opportunity. Whenever we hear Padrino or Palakasan system, it is deeply ingrained in Filipino society. Operate as a pervasive network of patronage and favoritism. It thrives on personal connection rather than merit or qualifications, determining one's access to opportunities, resources, and even justice. In this system, individuals with influential connections or padrinos can secure position, contracts, and other privilege without undergoing the rigorous processes that should govern such allocation. This leads to culture where advancement is not based on competence or hard work, but on who you know and how well you can leverage those relationships. The prevalence of the Padrino system perpetuates inequality and stifles social mobility. Those without connections or resources often find themselves marginalized, unable to compete on a level playing field. This creates a cycle of poverty where individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds struggle to break free from the grip of the system. The reliance on the patronage reinforces a culture of impunity and corruption. Those power feel emboldened to engage in corrupt practices, knowing that they can rely on the networks to shield them from accountability. This erodes trust in institutions and undermines effort to promote transparency and good governance.
The patronage system, or famously known as the Padrino system in the Philippines, is one of the most controversial sources of corruption in the Philippines. But the controversy does not end there. If we're going to look at the historical context, the Padrino system dates further back into the Spanish colonial period, where the culture is introduced as a network of symbiotic relationships between the patron, whether it may be a godfather or a godmother in a Catholic context, and a client or their godchild. This culture is shaped in a religious context wherein the patron fulfills their duty as a second guardian to their godchild in formalized religious rituals and even outside the religious domain, as these exchange of relationship between the two becomes an instrumental asset tangled with the debt of gratitude, or as we say, utang na loob concept in terms of social transactions, which is one of the numerous reasons that make it so problematic. So basically, the Padrino system highlights the Filipino familial ties and influences that shape several aspects, most especially political and socio-economic decisions. Today, the system continues to shape the socio-economic and political divisions of the country, whether it may be in private sectors or in the government. Politically, the Padrino system is a practice in most families wherein these influential and powerful families pass their position and everything that comes along with it to the next generation, pretty much like a dynasty. The small scale aspect, the Padrino system continues to dominate the government in all its agencies. It is an open secret that in the government, especially in the localized government units, nepotism and cronyism are rampant. The majority of politicians have relatives or people who help them obtain their position in exchange for the support and power they receive. In a Filipino context, malakas ako kay mayor. This becomes a domino effect for those hired in higher positions wherein familial ties or personal relations come into shape when they prioritize hiring relatives or family friends due to the mere influence and sense of indebtedness. Again, utang na loob. And not from educational backgrounds or personal expertise or work experiences. In almost all agencies, this is still a detrimental practice despite the government's eagerness to campaign against incompetencies in government performance due to shortcuts in employment as a result of favoritism in the government sectors. There is no denial that indeed the system is used by Filipinos to gain power and return favors, which only makes the impoverished state in the country is in now in a deep
Do you know that the Padrino system creates a culture of nepotism and cronyism in the Philippines, hindering meritocracy and exacerbating social inequality? Here are some possible solutions. Number one is the CSC can implement stricter guidelines and enforcement mechanism to ensure adherence to meritocratic hiring practices in government agencies. This could involve stricter screening processes, standardized examination, and background checks. Number two is increased transparency through open initiatives and public access to government employment records can deter nepotistic practices. Publicly available information on qualification and selection processes can be crucial.
The Padrino system or tradition is still a problematic issue today. From being in the Philippines during its colonial era and due to its deep cultural roots, it has affected and will continue to affect many different socio-economic and political divisions of the Philippines. It serves to progress one's career or personal life, especially with with the support of family members or kakilala in a position of higher status. This is unfair for the nation as a whole, in addition to being terrible for those whose opportunities in life were denied. A problematic tradition like the Padrino system shouldn't be used. It is only used to advance someone in life unfairly. Instead, everyone should be given an equal opportunity. Certain individuals are not afforded equal opportunities across certain areas of life because the powerful are abusing the system. It is used by the private and local sector, and overall, a large number of Filipinos use it. If it is not properly addressed, it may worsen and affect the nation's future generations.
Now, we are here because we need to take action to stop the Padrino system in the Philippines. We can't just say it's there. We have to work to get rid of the favoritism it causes. Government groups, like the Civil Service Commission, need to make sure people are hired based on their skills, not who they know. We also need to make information about government jobs easier for everyone to see, so it's harder for people to use connections to get ahead. Schools should teach that being good at your job matters more than who you know. We have to push for changes in how things are run, from local to national levels, to get rid of the Padrino system and make sure people get hired based on what they can do. This will need a lot of people speaking up and working together for a fair future for everyone in the Philippines.